So if you've been here throughout my teaching, you know I've been going through Judges. We've learned a lot throughout this series. Right now, we're in the middle. The 12th chapter, Judges 12. This is a small chapter. So I'm going to let you know that this probably isn't going to be my longest teaching. Yes. I want. So if you're hungry, you're probably very happy to hear that. But hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
If not, I'll...
So we're starting in Judges 12, right in the middle. I'm going to start with Judges 12, 1 through 3. And remember, Jephthah was called on to lead the tribes to free them from the Ammonites. And he did that with God's power, obviously. Then the men of Ephraim gathered together, crossed over towards Zaphon, and said to Jephthah, "Why did you cross over to fight against the people of Ammon, and did not call us to go with you? We will burn your house down on you with fire." And Jephthah said to them, "My people and I were in great struggle with the people of Ammon, and when I called you, you did not deliver me out of their hands. So when I saw that you would not deliver me, I took my life in my hands and crossed over against the people of Ammon. And Jehovah delivered them into my hand. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me?" We look at this and we see two nations that were brothers, Ephraim and Manasseh. Jephthah lived in Gilead, and I wanted to remind her what Gilead was. It was the area of Manasseh that was east of the Jordan. It was a rocky region. Gilead was the half of the tribe of Manasseh. The other tribe was on the other side. The reason why they called them Gilead just was to keep it straight, so people knew it was this side or that side. But Ephraim was the brother to Manasseh in Egypt. If you remember, they were both Joseph's sons. And so here they are fighting. I wanted to go back to Judges 8, 1 through 3. So we can see another time when Gideon, the judge, had to fight some men. Now the men of Ephraim said to him, "Why have you done this to us by not calling on us when you went to fight the Midianites?" And they reprimanded him sharply. So he said to them, "What have I done now in comparison with you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? God has delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb. And what was I able to do in comparison with you?" Then their anger toward him subsided when he said that. Again, Gideon was a Manassite. Is there something going on between these brothers? I wanted to turn back to the blessing that Israel gave to Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's sons. It is in Genesis 48, 8 through 22. Then Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, "Who are these?" Joseph said to his father, "They are my sons, whom God has given me in this place." And he said, "Please bring them to me, and I will bless them." Now the eyes of Israel were dim with age, so that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them near him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, "I had not thought to see your face, but in fact God has also shown me your offspring." So Joseph brought them from beside his knees, and he bowed down with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near to him. So to picture this, he was facing, Israel was facing Joseph. Joseph had his two sons, his younger son on the left side and his older son on the right side of his father. But on his, it would be the opposite for Joseph. Then Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, guiding his hands knowingly. For Manasseh was the firstborn, and he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, did I skip a lot? The God who has fed me all my life long to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads. Let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim. It displeased him. So he took hold of his father's hand and to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He shall also become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations. So he blessed them that day, saying, By you Israel will bless, saying, May God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And thus he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, Behold, I am dying, but God will be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow. I'm going to be honest. I had little problem seeing what the divide would be here. What caused such a animosity between the brothers. But the only thing I could think of was here, God called the Manasseh, Jephthah, to stand up and free Israel. He was less than Ephraim. And Ephraim was like, why weren't we called? We should have been the ones called. We're greater. I don't know. That's the only thing I can see in this. And if you have an idea, please share it with me afterwards. Let me know, because I want to see more of this and understand it better. But, and then it just seems like a fit of jealousy as we continue. I'm going to go back to Judges. Oh, yes. Judges 12, 4 through 6. And we're going to see Jephthah's response. Now Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought against Ephraim. And the men of Gilead defeated Ephraim, because they said, You Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim among the Ephraimites and among the Manassites. The Gileadites seized the fords of the Jordan before the Ephraimites arrived, and when any Ephraimite who escaped said, Let me cross over, the men of Gilead would say to him, Are you an Ephraimite? If he said no, then they would say to him, Then say Shibboleth. And he would say Sibboleth, for he could not pronounce it right. Then they would take him and kill him at the fords of the Jordan. There fell at that time 42,000 Ephraimites. Could jealousy really cause us to kill 42,000 of our brothers? That's my question. If this is just a jealousy between two tribes, one wanting the acclaim of being the one to set free Israel, the other wanting to be the older brother that they were born as, I don't know. but that's all I see in this. And so I love the idea that we can look at the Bible and still not understand fully, and we can learn so many things still. And there's so much to learn. But I was thinking about this, the words, and how they couldn't say certain things. So I felt like if we ever got in a war with Canada, you could stand at the fords and say, okay, say sorry. And they're like, sorry. So we'd know. And of course, someone in the crowd would come over and say, what's this all about? Got them too. So, of course, we might lose some Minnesotans or some other people up north. But that's the price you got to pay to get rid of the pesky Canadians. I say that in jest, but that's almost how it seems. These people wanted to return home. They were just saying, okay, you know, we're trying to flee. We're going home. We give up. But no, they slew them because they couldn't say a word. Let's continue on in Judges 7 through 10. And Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then Jephthah the Gileadite died, and he was buried among the cities of Gilead. After him was Ibzan of Bethlehem. He judged Israel. He had 30 sons, and he gave away 30 daughters in marriage, and brought in 30 daughters from elsewhere for his sons. He judged Israel 7 years. Then Ibzan died and was buried at Bethlehem. Does anybody see a problem here with what Ibzan did? Okay. Craig, you stole my thunder. That was going to be my main point. We see that he did what the world did. He tried to bring in wives from outside. Do you know why kings would do that, or leaders would do that at times? Because he'd pull together lands and he'd get more bounty, and he could own more things. And he's seen how the world was doing this. But if we turn to Leviticus 19.
Can I say one more thing on that?
Sure.
They would also create alliances.
Yes.
So you're relying upon alliances instead of upon God for protection. Yeah.
Right. And I want to point out now, remember, we're in the middle of Judges. We've seen these judges come along. They know, at the beginning of Judges, we've seen that a lot of them knew exactly who God was, what he was about. But now as we're getting further and further away, we're losing sight of who God is, even when they're not being punished or under the control of another nation. They are doing these things to themselves. Leviticus 19, 1 and 2, and then I'm going to skip down to 9 through 18. And Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, you shall be holy, for I, Jehovah, your God, am holy. Let's break that down. You shall be set apart, for I, Jehovah, God, am set apart. These things he's going to tell them is to tell them to set apart from the world. To not be exactly what everyone else is. Not do what they are doing. Picking up verses 9 through 18. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. And you shall not glean your vineyard. You shall not gather every grape of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Jehovah your God. You shall not steal, nor deal falsely, nor lie to one another. And you shall not swear by my name falsely, nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am Jehovah. You shall not cheat your neighbor, nor rob him. The wages of him who is hired shall not remain with you all night until morning. You shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear your God. I am Jehovah. You shall do no injustice in judgment. You shall not be partial to the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty in righteousness. You shall judge your neighbor. In righteousness you shall judge your neighbor. You shall not go about as a talebearer among your people, nor shall you take a stand against the life of your neighbor. I am Jehovah. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Jehovah. So we see here how we should treat our brothers and how we should treat our family. And obviously, killing them is not a way. Now, as I've already read Judges 12, 7 through 10, turn to Deuteronomy 7, 1 through 4. When Jehovah your God brings you into the land which you go to possess, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you, and when Jehovah your God delivers them over to you, you shall conquer them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them, nor shall you make marriages with them. You shall not give your daughter to their son, nor take their daughter for your son. For they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. So the anger of Jehovah will be aroused against you and destroy you suddenly. So we see these 2 judges, and we see that they've made some major bad decisions. But all's not lost. Let's continue reading on in Judges and finish the chapter, starting at verse 11. After him, Elon the Zebulunite judged Israel. He judged Israel 10 years, and Elon the Zebulunite died and was buried in Aijalon in the country of Zebulun. We don't see a whole lot about Elon, and I looked him up to see if there were other groups or anything, other writings about him. I didn't really see anything, but the Israelites, the Jewish people, believe that this showed that he had peace during his reign.
Could you give me that last reference? Judges, what are we in?
Judges 12, verses 11 and 12, just two verses. So basically we see Elon comes on the scene, he judged, he dies. But from this simple text and not giving us a whole lot, we can assume that his time there was much peace. So I'm trying to point out that there's, in the middle of this book, Judges, we've got this juxtaposition of 2 leaders, or 4 leaders. 2 leaders who made bad decisions here, 2 leaders who we can assume made mostly good decisions, but the last one's the one I really wanted to focus on. 13, chapter 12, Judges chapter 12, verses 13 through 15. After him, Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pithronite, judged Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons, who rode on 70 young donkeys. He judged Israel 8 years. Then Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pithronite, died, and was buried in Pithron in the land of Ephraim, in the mountains of the Amalekites. I know it's only 3 verses. I know that you might say, well, that's a lot of speculation. But when the judges made bad decisions, God made sure we knew it. When they made good decisions, those men were humble. And they didn't want to be highlighted, I don't believe. But if we look at this man who had 40 sons and 30 grandsons in the same area where he was born, where he made a difference in their lives, he took the teaching of Jehovah seriously to raise up your children and your grandchildren. I know it's just a small thing we can take from that, but if you know anything about me, I have a big family, I have a lot of kids, and staying close and watching them grow and learn is a very important thing, and being a father or grandfather to my children and grandchildren, it's something that's very important, and I believe it's commanded, and I think we can see that. There's peace in that. Now, he only ruled for eight years, or judged, I'm sorry, I keep saying ruled. When I mean judged, I know he didn't rule. And if you look at this whole chapter, it's 31 years from 4 different judges. Like I said, we have the 2 judges at the beginning that we see maybe not the best choices, and then the 2 judges at the end to juxtaposition what's happening now throughout Judges, how we're going to see them completely lose who God is. And the next story is as we get into Samson, is just, it's amazing to me how God works in people that are so lost. And we can be thankful for that, because we once were lost. We all once were lost, and he redeemed us, he found us, and he pulled us out of the miry clay. So I just wanted to say Shabbat Shalom, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Great message.